I'd like to begin by acknowledging that this conference is being held on the traditional lands of the Gadigal people and pay my respects to elders past, present, and future. That this conference is taking place at all is amazing. The Melbourne lockdown meant that 52 Victorians cancelled the registration and received full refunds. 4 speakers, including the one after me, are now speaking via Zoom instead of in person. That's just the latest problem. Our 2020 conference, falling in the middle of the New South Wales lockdown, was naturally cancelled. Happily, a number of the people who registered and a sizable group of sponsors said, "Leave my money in as I'll be at the next one." 6 weeks ago, as you all know, this conference was being held at the Sheraton. However, the Sheraton, which was supposed to cease being a COVID hotel at the end of March, suddenly told us this was extended to the end of July. The Sheraton, because of separation of air conditioning and staff, got a certificate from New South Wales Health, allowing them to hold the conference, serve drinks and food, but the fear of cross-contamination was a major concern. So immediately we held discussions with others, which is why we're now in this amazing space in the Hilton. To its credit, the Sheraton, as soon as we contacted them, said no problem and refunded all the money we'd paid to date.
How are you all today? Yes? Has it been interesting so far? Yes. Excellent. So obviously, I know John quite well from presenting at a number of events. I've been at Chatswood RSL presenting there. I was down in Canberra presenting to the members down there as well. And he said, I need to get you on in that 12 to 1 p.m. slot when people are most hungry, just before lunch. So I won't hold you from your lunch, but what I think you'll learn out of today is really some tips and tricks or even an understanding of some of the inherent biases that we all have simply as human beings, things that we can't avoid, things that have evolved with us from coming off the African plains and the savannah, for example, and allowed us to obviously evolve and move to cities and so on. So it's all about behavioural finance today, behavioural investing, and I think there are definitely some lessons that potentially we can all learn from to assist us in meeting those long-term investment goals, those long-term savings goals, and really harnessing the power of sustainable returns over a long period of time to assist us in protecting our standards of living. So, this is Richard Thaler, and he has won the Nobel Prize in economics. Who knows? Put your hand up if you know Richard Thaler or read one of his books, Nudge, Misbehaving, extremely interesting insights into how we think about the worlds of capital markets. And the discipline of behavioural economics really evolved about 40 to 50 years ago. Basically, economists had developed a theory of efficient markets, what we call the efficient market hypothesis, and that's predicated on the rational human, the rational person, Homo economicus. There's nothing that annoys economists more than when their models don't work because people aren't behaving the way they want them to behave. I know this because I am an economist, but here you can see a quote from Richard. Can think like Albert Einstein, store as much memory as IBM's Big Blue, and exercise the willpower of Mahatma Gandhi. Does anyone in the room, would they say that they were characterized by traits like this? I've got 3 young kids, and I can tell you I definitely do not have the willpower of Mahatma Gandhi, particularly when it comes to brushing their teeth. But, the quote there, they are not Homo economicus, they are Homo sapiens. So who is Homo economicus? There's IBM's Big Blue, the first computer to beat a chess grandmaster in Garry Kasparov. There it is. And this was, I think, around about 20 years ago. So infinitely, computer power has grown since then. But makes decisions in a perfectly rational manner, not influenced by any bias, can process any amount of information regardless of quantity or complexity, has all available information that they require to make the necessary decision, focuses on maximising their own utility as a consumer or as a producer, maximising profits, and their preferences and their goals do not change. They remain consistent over time. So a number of economists saw all of this. Homo economicus, Richard Thaler, another guy called Daniel Kahneman, who's also won the Nobel Prize in economics, his partner in academic studies, Amos Tversky. They saw all of this and thought, it doesn't really make much sense. We're going to investigate this. And hence, the discipline of behavioural finance, behavioural investing, behavioural economics evolved. So here's a brief timeline. Here you can see the efficient market hypothesis, where there's no point investing in markets. There's no point, because all information is embedded in the price that you see for a particular company or a particular asset, and you can't make abnormal profits from that. So that's a efficient market, essentially, under modern portfolio theory. For what it's worth, these guys, Markowitz, he also has a Nobel Prize in economics. Here we also have the development of behavioural finance. And finally, what you'll see today amongst the professional investment community is an acknowledgement of many of these biases, trends, herd behaviours within markets, an acknowledgement that markets aren't perfect, that they are imperfect. The reason being that humans are involved in markets, of course. So if you want to understand the discipline of markets, if you want to understand the discipline of economics, you have to incorporate human behaviour. You simply have to.
The United Nations has said that this is the critical decade within which year-on-year emissions reductions are required. And building on our proud history of setting stretch targets, we announced our boldest and most important target yet, and that is to achieve carbon neutrality by 2030. And so I'd like to play a short video of our plan to meet this ambitious industry-leading target.